Hello, everybody. We're back.
Cool.
So today we're going to review. What are we going to review again? No,
Marty
Marty
Supreme.
Supreme. That's it. We watched it last
Correct.
night. A lot of people there, which is surprising because usually we'll go see a movie a couple of days after it comes out, and it's like no one there. Like Bone
Yeah.
Temple was like that, which is pretty disappointing because it was a good movie. But no, it was a good show up. The movie was directed from the same director as Uncut Gems. What's his name? Got his name, but he's a really good director. I like his style. He's like the master, the absolute master of putting stress on the screen. Just like what stress is. He's like the epitome of stress. So usually I go first. I'll let you go first.
I don't know it by heart, so I had to look it up. It was directed by John Safdie. I hope that's how you pronounce his last name. Um, as most people know, starring Timothy Chalamet. That probably, in my opinion, is why the cinema was probably a near full house last night. He is definitely a draw card right now for a lot of modern
There
audiences.
were a lot of girls. Yeah.
A lot of girls, they're all fanboying over him. I really appreciate him as an actor. I think he's going to be the next big thing if he isn't already. I mean, he's already in his own lead roles. I don't know how old he is, but I think he's not even in his mid-20s yet,
Yeah.
unless he's just got one of those baby faces. Um, and yeah, again, he doesn't disappoint. This is, in all sense, a biopic. This film, but I did read into more about the real Marty Morse, I believe his name was. Um, and even though this film is depicted as a biopic, and 9 times out of 10, a biopic is meant to be as true and accurate to the real story as possible, this one apparently is not so true to the original story, and there's a lot of embellishment on the drama. Um, Saying that, it didn't bother me one bit because a lot of the drama, despite it being extremely extravagant, it did still feel very grounded. And I would not be surprised if the director, John Safdie, takes a lot of inspiration from early Martin Scorsese films. Um, in particular, leaning towards the Goodfellas. Not so much the gangster element in it, but like you said, leaving a character's narrative on the edge of just one stupid decision after the other and watching this character just get into a bigger and a bigger and a bigger pit that he has dug himself. And just somehow, because of his narcissism and his self ego and even his self drive, just somehow managed to get himself out every time just to dig himself even a bigger hole the next chapter. Um, so the premise of it is he is a self proclaimed professional table tennis player in particular for the US, and his ego is backed up by his skill. He is a really good player. However, it's the irony of his self confidence and his self importance. I'll say is probably a more better word that gets himself into all these shenanigan scenarios where people consider him, I guess, not really a nice guy. Like he's got the two sides of his story. He's got the people that know him prior to his self-proclaimed fan service, and then he's got the people he's trying to impress, and the people he's trying to impress throughout this whole story to get into this tournament. Kind of see this side of him, the jaded side of him, the self-involved side of him that just leaves his character very just not a likable character, man. And I say that in a good way, because I hated this character throughout the most of the film because of his narcissism, because his self-proclaimed performance. And I think what the director does best in this film is it kind of feels like a parody, even though it's not a parody, on the sportsman who's like a significant key figure in like the history of man in the backdrop of table tennis, ping pong,
Ping pong,
you know,
yeah.
and whether it's intentional or not, but the direction and narrative always reminds us of it. Like Timothy Chalamet's character Marty's built himself up of this incredible figure, like America loves him or something. He's gonna be the next big thing, and then it always segues to a sequence without any dialogue. It's just visual narrative of just showing ping pong, and like. For me personally, I don't know if anyone else took it this way. I just couldn't take it seriously. I like the game ping pong, but the way this film depicts it, it's not as big a deal as Marty's character makes it out to be, especially for himself. And that in line, I believe, lies the cornerstone truth about his character and where he decides to put importance on himself as opposed to where he should be putting importance, which is his circle of friends, his responsibilities towards his family, his responsibilities towards just being an adult, soon to be father, um, and just responsibilities on people that he's wronged. He quote unquote robs a person early on in the film for money, which arguably was his money by right, but it was in the manner of how he did it. He robs. And it's just like that's basically the building plot of all this unnecessary drama in his life that comes to a boiling point. And if I have to give one thing against it, I don't really see a sequence where we're meant to see a character shift in Chalamet, like where all of a sudden we're supposed to like him. Because personally, for me, leading all the way to the end of the film, which is he tries to convince all these people to get him into this tournament, and they meet him to a middle ground. He doesn't get into the tournament; he gets to an exhibition match against the current champion, which is this Japanese fellow that beat him early on in the film. And like, I don't know if we're meant to have this character shift in him where we realize, oh, he's a good guy. He's actually understanding humility. I didn't see it that way. I saw it as this guy was like, hold on, hold on, hold on. Instead of an exhibition match, let's have a real game. This was all fraudulent. Let's have a real game. The Japanese champion agrees to it, and Marty ends up beating him. And to what purpose did it serve, really? Because one, it was an exhibition match. It wasn't an actual title card, so it meant nothing. And all he ever did was give himself a self sense of gratification at the exact same time, shame the whole nation, which is right now trying to get back on its feet after the events of World War II. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you
it
almost
was a very to me it was a very, very selfish thing he did. He should have just taken the bullet, gone with the like everybody would have loved him even more, in my opinion, if he just went with the exhibition match where he loses. It's all set up, but again, as they like to remind him throughout this entire film, it's all for show, it's all for entertainment, it's all for the audience, the spectacle, quote unquote, the story. And that's where Timothy's character, Marty, draws the line. He doesn't see it as this kind of mundane sport. He sees it as the next big thing that's going to be bigger than tennis. It's going to be bigger than baseball. You know what I mean? And every time it gets to that point of him self-delivering himself as this godlike figure in the sport, I just cannot but laugh. And I'd like to think that was the intention of it. Because if it's not meant to be that way, if I'm actually meant to be taking this character seriously with his endeavors of trying to be this like ping pong legend, um, I just couldn't believe it. Bottom line.
yeah. Well, I kind of saw it as it doesn't matter what it is. It can be ping pong. It can be joining the military. It can be the world's greatest boxer. Whenever someone has that passion in life, you go 100%. You just go 100% at it, and that's kind of your life goal. No matter what life goal, you can be like a shoe salesman and be like completely addicted to it, where you want to be the best in the world. You want to take out everyone out. So it's kind of the idea. I see it as a movie about kids that like come out of school and they're kind of just very, dumb and full of cum sort of thing, where they're just people
Arrogant, naive.
Arrogant, naive when you're young, and you just go all out, and you let go of relationships. You don't care about anything. You kind of want to go straight on what you're doing, and I think that relates to a lot of people. I'm sure it relates a bit to me, like when you're younger and kind of ignore a lot of things in your life because you feel like your goals in life is like everything, and then when you get older, you realize actually it's not that important. So I feel like this movie was like extreme, a grand version of that sort of thing, to a point where it becomes almost funny and very entertaining. Like this movie, the whole way was entertaining. If you love Uncut Gems, you're gonna love this film. I will say I did enjoy Uncut Gems a little bit more. Because I felt Adam Sandler's motivation was for his kids and literally for his life. Like he owed money and he needed to pay off or he's dead. Um, and stuff. But Marty, his motivations wasn't quite as. It's like what he wants to be a ping pong. He wants to be a professional player. I don't know. I just didn't see. I didn't feel it as much as I did with Uncut Gems. Uh, but I really did like Timothy Chalamet's performance. It was amazing. I wasn't a big fan of him during Dune and stuff. I just thought he was another one of those, you know, uh, skinny boy. What do you call it?
Low power.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just like little twinks, girls like twinks and stuff. It's like, he's just not
Right.
none of one of those twinks that's good looking. He's got the sharp jaw, but especially after this film, no, he's really good actor, and it's I wouldn't say it's like an Oscar performance, but it was a very good performance. I feel like half the cast of this movie was in Uncut Gems. I recognize a few actors in it. Like you said, Martin Scorsese, yeah, it's a big influence in that, especially with the mafia in this film. Um, there was one sequence I really liked. There was such a small thing where it was very unique. It was where they were playing ping pong. It was like a ping pong big hustle table. There's like 10 tables, and the camera was set back, and you could see rows of tables ahead. Now you can see rows of tables ahead, and everyone's playing. And the camera zooms in, and you see Marty playing. I thought that was a really cool. I don't know how they did that,
I
and
remember you responded to that in the cinema as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool. And yeah, the music in the movie was really good. Like, really fit the movie very well. It was almost like
It had a very 80s retro vibe to it.
exactly 80s retro,
A lot of
and
synth keys, like, it almost to me reminded me sometimes of, like, a Rocky montage.
yeah, yeah, and maybe it's our age where I kind of hear that music, and it reminds me of like nostalgia and like
Hmm.
old school stuff. So I thought the music was done really well. Oh man, the camera is always shoved in people's faces, like, and which again,
Really
it's
big head sometimes.
yeah, and it's to portray the stress of the situation.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's almost like they try to outdo Uncut Gems. Like, Uncut Gems has all these issues. Well, wait for this movie to come out. It's gonna have like twice the amount of craziness. Like, he's having a bath. The bath falls, lands on a guy's arm. This dude, it's sad, but I couldn't help laugh at your
Yeah.
reaction. Is then the dog came out of the bath, and you're like, oh. And
I'm
then
just glad the dog was alright.
yeah, then the dog fell out of the car. You're like, oh, and you thought that, and
Oh,
then
not the dog.
and there was an
Ugh,
explosion, and it looks like the dog got blown up, and you're like, oh my god!
exactly.
Again, it was like
I thought I got
constantly,
caught on fire or some shit. I'm like, "Not the dog, not the dog, come on, not the dog."
and then
But,
you saw him coming running. He's like, oh, okay, good. But even I'm like, well, still, I mean, he's still by himself. He's in the
yeah,
middle of
true.
nowhere. He's but
In end result, that dog is still in that house by the end of the film, like, both people that wanted the dog are dead, and Marty and his girlfriend just left it there, I guess, so, weird side story, but,
yeah,
just one of many escalating things that happen in this film, man, and it just really comes down to one poor choice, and everything else just segue into that. And the choice comes from his narcissism. Early on, he's very like, I'm the greatest. I'm doing everything by myself. All this jazz, but at the same time, it's not that true at all. From the very beginning, he's getting help, whether it's like willingly or like subversively. He's always getting help from other people that he either either they will and want to help him, or two, he's just manipulating them into helping him throughout the whole film. And it just had from one character to another, and it got to the point where I just despised Marty. And I don't think it's fair also on like whoever the real Marty person is. Honestly, I haven't really done much research on the guy. If this was like his true character, and if this is really how what he suffered in order to get into a ping pong championship, that's it's kind of shitty. But
Maybe he suffered
so I
it.
was looking,
So maybe he actually suffered it over the course of a few years. Where in this movie, he suffered all of that in the course of like 2 weeks or
nine
something.
months.
No, 9 months. Like a
The
very
time
short
length,
period.
and that's just reminded me too of the intro. It's got a very weird intro where we see Marty as a shoe salesman, and he has a makeout session with his girlfriend, impregnates her, and we get this opening credit of just fallen sperm, you know, fertilizing an egg.
That was pretty funny. And then it
And
turns into
yeah, it reminded me of the introduction to Look Who's Talking Now. It's to get that dog, the exact same intros. We're just following sperm hit a freaking
yeah, that was
egg. But
pretty
yeah,
random.
yeah, that's right. The egg it transforms into a ping pong.
Yeah,
So
which
it's
is
like
fun. It's like really like ping pong's life apparently. But I don't know.
exactly self-importance, like what matters to Marty. So thinking back on it, you could also kind of see this film as a metaphor for Timothy's character having basically one last chance at, I guess, youth, like you were going on about, people's like ambitions when they're younger,
Yeah.
and it's a race against time for him to achieve this goal before the baby is born. You know what I mean? Whether that's intentional or not, as like a kind of mirror narrative, but basically his girlfriend slash, I guess, soon to be wife is like the ticking time bomb for his youth, and it's like he has to go through a midlife crisis. He has to go through this whole self turmoil, and he's trying to get to this thing because the clock is ticking. At a certain point, his wife is at 8 months. You know what I mean? And the urgency keeps building and building, and it just runs in kind of mirrored where he gets this chance at this last chance of playing ping pong against the champion, and returns home to a baby born, and we get this kind of moment where I guess he's a changed person because he shows what I think is the only scene in the whole film where he's showing real emotion, which is to his newborn child.
Or caring about
And
anything other than himself. Yeah.
exactly. I just wish there was a bit more of that throughout the film. Instead of just, for me, as I interpret it, okay, all of a sudden he's a changed man now. He's going to be a good father. How do we know that from that one sequence? You know?
You could have cried.
And
You could have cried and then got the first plane ticket back to a different tournament.
back to Tokyo. like, yeah, that to me is probably my only real nitpick is just seeing the character's transition from being a narcissistic person who
Manipulator.
has no sense of, has no sense of humility whatsoever in any situation he's in. You know, he's either being passively aggressive towards a person, condescending to them about their values versus his, or he's just manipulating them. You know, like he manipulates. I don't know what his name is, but he was like the cousin's son who owned the shoe shop, big fella. Like the amount of times he took advantage of him,
Yeah.
you know, with his girlfriend being pregnant. Like I get it, she's pregnant, but that's a weapon to use for empathy on a person. And finally, the guy breaks down, and he's the one that created the orange ping pong balls, which never really come back into the film.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, I was waiting for that to be used, like you were saying, like, oh, they're both wearing white shirts. He's going to bring out the orange ball, and that's going to be a secret weapon to win the game. No, doesn't happen. Marty just somehow, through sheer will, defeats. I think his name was Idon, the Japanese champion, just by being a better player, not just by outsmarting him with a tactic or anything. So that to me was kind of a letdown. But again, I don't know what they're trying to ring true to the real events and what is meant to be dramatized for the sake of drama. So all in all, it was still a very investing story. Um, I was always wondering what was going to happen next. I completely forgot about half the time that the movie was about ping pong, which I kind of expected to happen. And I was just sucked into this character's self ambitions and like the stupid choices he's making. And you can see them coming, but you can see it coming, but at the same time, the way it comes at you, it's out of left field, if that makes any sense.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like a good example is when they're trying to hustle the kids at the arcade against ping pong. We all knew it was going to come. We all knew that eventually they'll be found out and all that. But when it does happen, where it takes it from there is not what you expect. I expected them just to get the crap kicked out of them and their money stolen. They're back to zero. No, instead they literally light a freaking petrol station on fire and blow it up. And like you said, almost killed a dog. Just like,
Yeah, every time we made a prediction, like we'd whisper to each other, like almost none of it would come true. It was like, oh,
mm,
something else happened. But yeah, I think the weakest part of the movie, like it's set up really well, where I thought all these things were going to happen, and then as we got towards the end of the movie, it felt a bit lackluster compared to what I thought they were going to do. Like with the orange ball, they're talking about they don't want to wear the black shirt. The black shirt. He should wear a white shirt. And then they're talking about the racket, like that Japanese guy. Got his name. He's using
yeah,
a
he's pen holder style.
pen holder,
Yeah.
but also the racket was just different. So I thought
Mm.
maybe they're going to go into like changing rackets to make sure it's fair for both of them, or maybe they're going to swap rackets and see how it goes, and then Marty kicks his up. I,
Mm.
I mean, that's just my opinion where it could have gone, but I was a bit let down by where it ended up. I thought there'll be a little bit more to show compared to where
I
it
honestly
started.
thought there was going to be that exhibition match where he loses and kisses the pig, and then they were going to go into the actual tournament. I didn't realize that was going to be the final conclusion of the film when
Yeah.
all of a sudden Marty is like, "Wait, wait, 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 wait! This was all fake. Let's have a real game," and kind of throws everyone on the bus, which I don't know. I think it was meant to be a heroic moment for him, but to me, it just came off as so condescending.
Selfish.
Exactly, because
You know,
it meant
condescending.
nothing.
Yeah.
No, no, you're right as well. Like
It wasn't selfish. I mean, yeah, it's self. Yeah, keep going.
it's all right. It's like it meant nothing because
Yeah,
all right, he beats him 21-0. It's an exhibition match. Doesn't mean nothing. It's not an official tournament. It's like if I challenge Muhammad Ali to a fight when we're supposed to be doing a charity event and I knock him out. It meant nothing because it wasn't a real fight. It might have people going, the audience going, "Oh, he lost," but in the grand scheme of things, in the back of their mind, they knew it was just a friendly contest.
but
You know.
man, they'll both go on 100%. I I didn't see the point of them going now to the championships. I thought it would be a bit too like, oh man, we saw this already.
But that's the thing. Like Marty wasn't allowed, so this was his last ditch effort. But to me, it just felt hollow, and like not saying that it was the wrong direction. To me, I felt like that was the intention of it. Like everything amounted to nothing because he goes back home and there's his son. That's what's most important. He's got family values now and whatnot. And what I presumed, but again, it doesn't happen, would eventually come into a business with the orange pong balls, and that would be his like more important shine to glory. You know what I mean? But
I think
no, again,
what you're trying to say is maybe it wasn't very cathartic in the end or something.
I think it was cathartic, but not in the means of it being a hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you got to the end of the film, and it's a good example would be, I guess, the movie Whiplash, where we're following a character who wants to be the greatest drummer in the world. There's kind of a mirror narrative here.
Yeah, actually,
We get to the
yeah.
very end, and he has this final moment with his teacher who he hates. They got a very toxic relationship. But at the same time, here he is doing this great drum solo, and he's looking for his teacher's validation. You know what I mean? It's a very triumphant moment where he's getting to finally be the drummer he wants to be. But in my eyes, I'm seeing this guy, he's still looking for his teacher's approval. Throughout this whole film, this teacher's been abusive to him, he's been critical of him to the point of like self destruction. Like he literally gets into a car accident and still crawls to the show to do the drums. You know what I mean? Like that's self-destruction. That's not like ambition. And that's where that line draws. And I feel like it's the same kind of narrative in this, where we're seeing a character with his ambitions and his passions that accelerate him into an area where it's more self-destructive or corrosive to the people around him in his life. Like, look what it does to his girlfriend. Look what it does to his like what he does to his mother. What he does to his uncle. You know what I mean? Like everything in his life, he's willingly neglected or belittled for the pursuit of greatness in his eyes, his version of greatness. And when we get to the end of the film, and it's not a real tournament. It's just an exhibition match. It's a petty thing for himself. It's all for himself. It's not to prove to anyone that he's the greatest or for the USA. It's just for himself,
Yeah, it's
you know?
almost like an OCD. It's like he has to do it just because he has to
Yeah.
do it. He gets an impulsion, can't not do it.
Yeah. And then he wins and he falls to the ground as they do, like he just won like the US Open in tennis, and that to me was laughable because again, it's like kind of mirroring a greater sport in my mind. I know there's a lot of ping pong fans out there, but come on, you got to see the difference between ping pong and
Pull
tennis
a pull.
or ping pong or pool or ping pong or baseball. You know what I mean? It's just on a different tier in terms of spectacle, in terms of what is required as a sportsman. So
Yeah,
again,
I like
so
that
like
ground, but I like that groundedness of it, of like
I
hustle culture and
fair
small
enough, fair
scale.
enough. But to me, I'm just feeling bad for the Japanese player and what he represented for his country.
He was the
You
chillest
can see
dude,
it.
man. He was the chillest
Right?
dude in the. That
It
Japanese guy was
was.
the chillest dude in the world.
It was. But for me, it was like you saw what he meant to his countrymen and what he represented. He represented this reprisal, this redemption from what was World War II. Like Japan was brought into like a third world class society for a long time. Poverty, depression, everything. They had to re-evaluate themselves as an identity after the events of World War II. So here comes this figure, this Japanese champ in ping pong. You know what I mean? He meant more to them as a winner than Marty did as a winner. And he was a sore loser, man. We saw him when he lost to him in that other tournament. He was acting like John McEnroe of ping pong. Like ping pong's a great player, but he's finding excuses. He's blaming everyone but himself. There was nothing about his character that for me liked. Saying that, I liked his performance, and that's the big difference. He was a dislikable character that I enjoyed to watch.
I kind of liked when he did was a sore loser because I just see that as anyone that's hyper competitive gonna have to be hyper competitive. They're gonna be like they're gonna yell at refs and stuff, especially if it's not in front of the. He'll do it in front of the. I kind of saw that as a hyper competitor, and I kind of
Well,
liked it.
I get what you're saying, but I don't think everyone is like that.
Yeah,
I mean, like a hothead like I'm comparing this to tennis, a hothead like McEnroe versus a cool, calm, collected head like Federer. Two different champions from different generations with two different direct approaches to the game of tennis. You know what I mean? But I mean, a better comparison would have been McEnroe and Bjork. But irregardless, I see what you're saying. I just again to me it was just a dislikable character for him. It really
hmm
was because it just shows that real toxic behavior that he has, not just for himself but his entire surrounding family
it
and
sounds to
business associates.
it sounds to me you almost wanted to see the story from the Japanese guy's perspective. You like would have kind of been a better story in a sense, like a more.
Maybe, maybe like there's definitely themes of like pride and the two differences. Like you got the Japanese character and his pride for his nation, and the nation's pride for him, versus Marty's corrosive pride in himself. And there's a bunch of other themes there too, but generally that is what it means. Like the ambition and the drive to being a sportsman and all that stuff. It comes with the package of pride, but pride can be very easily a corrosive attribute. I mean, it's a sin for a reason. You know what I mean? Like your self confidence can be also your self undoing, and that's to me Marty in a nutshell. Could he have done what he achieved in the film had he taken a different route? I believe so. Had he had just agreed to the business associate that was funding him, had he had just stayed at the shoe shop maybe for a couple more months, got himself some more money for himself,
Yeah,
I reckon he still could have done it. Instead of what he did, he was trying to choose the shortcut every time because he believed that he could, But every time he chose that shortcut, he just dug himself a bigger hole, and it just kept piling on, piling on, piling on. So like, yeah, what am I trying to get at with this final conclusion? Um, yeah,
I was gonna add. You mentioned earlier that it kind of felt hollow in the end, and that's a good way to say it. Like again in Uncut Gems when um I'll keep thinking Ben Affleck because I watched the Rip today and it was Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Yeah, it felt hollow. Like the Adams, yeah, Adam Sandler in the end when he won that parlay and he saw his face and he's like, oh my god, he did it. I felt it for him. I'm like, oh yeah, all this work and all this emotion really finally paid off. And then he called his wife. He's like, get your red panties on tonight, baby. Like I really liked that. It was very cathartic for me. In this one, I didn't feel that payoff in the end. It was kind of like he won, he lay on the floor for a bit, and then he saw his child. He didn't give me as much as I Uncut Gems really hit that catharticism in the end. Like all that work paid off. That work that he did paid off, but I don't know. It was kind of hollow for me. That's the way I see it when you said it was kind of hollow.
Well, it felt hollow to me because going back to we don't really see him change as a person
Yeah,
until he sees his child.
no arc really until the very end,
Yeah.
and we don't even know if that was an arc or not. It's like, yeah, he was kind of he was the same the
When he
whole.
saw his child, he definitely was. But prior to that, everything was just self gratification. I don't remember. Like, there's a few moments where he's somewhat sentimental to his girlfriend, but at the same time, it just feels like he's doing everything he can to get her out of the picture. Like, oh yeah, I'll help you. I'll put you in this room. Okay, bye. Oh, I'll help you. And then like she does what she does, which came out of left field for me. She fakes being abused by her husband, and as a means to like manipulate him into getting what she wants, which is him, because she actually does love him instead of her actual husband. Like that came out of left field for me. And I was kind of like, haha, now you know how it feels.
Yeah, I mean, she was a real piece of work. I saw your reaction, everyone's reaction in the theater. I was like, what? When they found out
Yeah,
that the bruise was fake.
makeup.
To me, that was probably the worst thing done in the whole movie. Was that like?
Yeah. I mean, given what Marty did, I thought he killed him when he like took his trophy and
Yeah,
smacked him
he was
with
like
it.
gargling on the floor,
Yeah.
man,
I was waiting for her to come home and there he is dead after like 3 days or something.
stinking.
But
Yeah,
no, he survived. But yeah, that manipulation into getting what she wanted, then fuck.
man,
That came out.
the performances are so good, man. When
They were
it felt realistic when he's like his husband's upset, and he's yelling, but he's not hitting her. He's understandably upset. And then the family's waiting
benching,
outside.
yeah.
He's like, "All right, she's your problem now." They're not being a piece of shit. Like, you fucking dogs, I'll fucking stab you. Get out of my fucking house. No, it
You
wasn't
know,
like that.
and at the same time, what I really did appreciate about it, and I was waiting for it to go this way, was there was no themes at all with like drugs or like drug
No,
trafficking and all that stuff. I was waiting for it to go that way where it's like, here we go. Yeah, get up high, he gets addicted to his own stash, blah 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 blah. We've seen that before. I'm glad that never happened because I was kind of anticipating it. Because leading with the movie trailers, I thought that's where the story was gonna go. That yeah, he's a ping pong player, but in order to get his funding, he's been doing trafficking on the side. He's a smuggler or whatnot. But no, luckily it wasn't that story, and that never happened. If this is loosely based on a true story, so yeah, it was good to see this kind of high stakes, quote unquote high stakes kind of drama, without that use of drugs being implemented in the story.
yeah,
It was just their own poor choices that led them in the direction they went.
yeah. Good
And
writing, good everything. It did the job it wanted to without requiring cheats like
yeah, true.
drugs. It's just a cheat code.
Yeah, for sure. And it does make me want to look more into the real person to see like what's fact and what's not, and understand the character a bit more. Because if I could take away anything from this film, it probably would do a disservice for me to not really care for the real person. So I want to do my research to see what the real person actually went through and how the real version of it went instead of the way it's showed in this.
Yeah,
Because as it says, it's loosely a true story. So I want to get to the bottom of that.
yeah.
But for the second drama, it did a great job.
yeah, Marty's character, it's like he's a narcissist, he's a manipulator, but you can see he's it, it shows like it's emotions and people are complicated. Is he's a real piece of shit, but at the same time, he's willing to put his life on the line to like save a dog. Or even when he saw the dog was in the house, he wanted the dog because he cares about the dog, and he was right. If
I
did you
saw
see
it more
that?
as he want. I saw it more as he wanted the reward for the dog more than saving the dog. You know, because he knew
Mm,
that the owner, he was going to pay a big bounty to whoever found the dog. Like, no, I didn't really see it as him really caring for the dog. It was the money. It was that again, that next chapter get him closer to getting to Tokyo, which is like his drive through every single scene in this film is trying to get up some money, like manipulating the actress Gwyneth Paltrow to try and get some funding her way. He's manipulating her to get to him, the guy with like the pen franchise.
the
You know what I mean? And
Keno,
when that
yeah.
backfires, he like still tries to romanticize her and tries to steal her jewelry, which ends up just being prop jewelry. So like, yeah, to me, I didn't really see him at all as showing any empathy for anyone in this film. Like to me, that was the narcissism. He's a sociopath. It's just like, he knows how to manipulate people through his charm and his confidence. But at the back of everything, he doesn't give two shits about anyone in this film except maybe his girlfriend. Maybe until the very end. I don't think he really did care until the very end of the film, where in some formal way he does mature into a bigger person. But I just wish we saw that transition, which we don't. We just see him win this exhibition match, fly home, and then he's apparently a redeemed character, which I didn't really believe.
That's Kevin O'Leary, man. He's hilarious. Like he did a
Yeah.
he did a good job. I mean, he played himself, so he wasn't really acting. He was just playing himself. But the
Mm.
fact that he's a pen salesman, it's so on the nose. It to me, it's like ping pong. They chose ping pong because it's like pen salesman. It's so
My point
random.
exactly. It's like this guy's made a franchise, like probably $1 million corporation franchise back then because pens were a big necessity. Like in comparison to today, it's laptops. You know what I mean? Like, but again, like when you look at it in the grand scheme, that this guy's a multi-millionaire, big name, big shot because he sells pens.
Yeah, I thought the story was going to go a bit more with him. I was in towards the end. I like the kind of the rivalry between him and Kevin
Mm,
and Marty. We didn't really see as much as I wanted to. They had a bit of that talk. Like Kevin tried to like put his morale down so he would lose the game, and then that's
mm.
all we saw of Kevin. We didn't see him maybe change his mind. Like, oh wait, maybe this sport is good, or you know what? I was talking shit about Marty. He's actually kind of proving himself, but we didn't
Yeah,
get to see much of that. Where in movies, I love that. Whenever one guy proves another guy wrong over the movie, I really like that. There wasn't that much of it in this one.
yeah, true
Um,
that.
Evan, and also we have that got his name. He played the guy that in the house, the farmer in the house with the shotgun. He's not an actor. Also, he's a magician. He's a real
All right.
yeah. I got his name, Penn and Teller. That's right. You heard of Penn and Teller?
No.
Yeah, they're a popular, really popular magic group. Yeah, it's
Okay.
just funny to see him because I see him online. He does online stuff as well. He's not an actor, and it was funny to see him acting in this, just like and have a pretty significant role. Just like Kevin O'Leary had a significant role, and he's not an actor at all. So it's pretty interesting that they did that. But
The director's close, tight knit group.
yeah,
Like sometimes a comedian will just get comedians to play a serious drama, and then all of a sudden there's a new skyrocketed career for a once comedian turned into a serious dramatic actor. Kevin Peele has been trying to do that. Key and Peele, sorry, has been trying to do that for a while with his horror dramas, and he always picks comedians for his roles. So
it's
yeah,
funny.
it makes
It's funny to see them do movies not as actors because they're rich. They're multi-hundred millionaires, and they're doing like significant part in movies where there's probably a lot of sitting around, waiting, and they. So I'm curious. Like, does Kevin like acting, or is he just likes putting his face up there so he can sell more pens in real life?
It's probably like, John is a friend of theirs and he approached him, "How would you like to play a role in this film?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Simple. Cool. All right. See you next Thursday." I don't know, like, it's just can we just like a pro bono kind of thing. I do for you,
Yeah,
you do for me. But yeah, they
yeah,
all knocked it out of the park, man. Like there wasn't a single performance in this I disliked. Chalamet was the star, of course, so he gets most screen time. Kudos to him. But no, they all did a great job. And is it like a film that I would, watch again on a weeknight or a weekend and all that stuff? Probably not. But it's definitely a film I would go back to showcase themes in cinema, especially themes of like building blocks of intensity, building blocks of dramatic chaos. Even like a good example of like, the stakes in this are very mediocre, but you get a director that doesn't know what they're doing, and this film could have come off as very B grade. You get Josh to direct this and how he frames it and how he just builds on that intensity. Also, I reckon from how real the dialogue is, it doesn't feel like it's scripted. It feels like half the time it was improv. And because of that, you get this back and forth kind of energy in the moment, which again to me feels like a Scorsese kind of script where it's just like not so much people talking, but two people basically attacking each other verbally all the time, and it just builds on that intensity, builds on that drama. It's a great showcase and a great example for a lot of people that are students in the game. This is how you build intensity from something that's very mundane, not as an insult, but again, if you give this kind of script to the wrong director, it's going to be a very, very boring story.
yeah,
Get the script to someone that knows how to incite drama from grounded reality, like Quentin Tarantino or your Coen brothers or Scorsese. And they're going to tick it out of the park. They know exactly how to frame it. They know exactly how to edit it. They know exactly when to cue it, and they know exactly who to star in it. And this to me is a tick, 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 tick.
yeah. Ticked all the boxes basically. Um, yeah, we talked about the negatives. It got a bit hollow towards the end. There wasn't as much, but that's just a personal expectation. What else? What other negatives do we have? There really wasn't any.
No, I think we already said them, man. Like it wasn't that kind of film where it was severely flawed for whatever reasons. That's the good thing about drama picks. You can't really just say like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense," because MacGuffin was supposed to be a MacGuffin scene. So if there's going to be any flaws, it just comes from the flow of the narrative. And for me, for what it was, what was it, near 2.5 hour film,
Yeah, 2 hours 20 minutes. Something like that. Yeah,
2 hours 20 minutes. Like the flow was great. Like there wasn't a single scene in this film where I was like, "Oh, let's get to the next bit." Like I was always intrigued to see what he was going to do and versus how he was going to get out of a situation every time. And again, like I said, I forgot the film was supposedly about ping pong. I was more invested in the drama and the elements leading up to it than I was the actual ping pong matching.
yeah. Like you said, you know what he's doing. I guess yeah, you don't know what he's trying to do. For example, when he's going up to Gwyneth Paltrow and trying to seduce her in the very beginning. Personally, I didn't really know why he was doing that, except he wants sex or something. But then it's like, oh no, he wants to sell his husband on his idea. Did you know that from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't catch up on that. Yeah, everything he does in this movie, it's like for him. It's for him to make enough money to pay off his
Exactly.
fine and go to Japan, and that's it. And sometimes it seemed like he's being nice, and if you're young, you might think he's like, oh, he was nice, that big guy. He was friendly. He's like, hey, don't call him fat, But in the same time, it's all manipulative. Every moment was, yeah,
But what happens in that exact same scene? He's all nice to him when he's getting what he wants, which is a house for her and him to sleep in. The second the big fella, whose name I've forgotten, rejects him, when the big fella finally says he's had enough, he immediately turns on him. He
of
starts
course,
mocking him about like, being a 30-year-old that's still living with his parents. He's like, unemployed, everything. And that's exactly what a narcissist does, man. They'll turn on you in the second they don't get what they want. And that happens time and time again in this. Even like when he gets too comfortable with the actress, Gwyneth Paltrow's character, Kay Stone, even then he's showing his like narcs to him. Like he's saying like passive insults to her, just because he feels like he's in a comfortable position to do so, because she is no longer the thing to win over, it's the husband, which is his primal goal. Until, of course, he doesn't get what he wants, which is a foot into the tournament. He has to go through a bunch of hurdles in order to get it. He draws a lot of parallels with the character Jake Gyllenhaal plays in the movie Nightcrawler Man, who is the definition of a narcissistic sociopath. Like, if you ever watch that film again, he's the exact same way, in the exact same energy, with the exact same drive as Timothy Chalamet in this film into getting what he wants. And when he doesn't get it, he he shows his very hostile side. But prior to that, he's very charming. He's very forward with people, and they are allured by his charm, and that's what works for him for the most of the film until people start catching on to it, and then he shows his nasty side. Very similar character, man. And I think I told you this last night. If this film was made 15, 20 years ago, Shia LaBeouf would definitely have played the role
Yeah, Shia
of
LaBeouf for
Marty.
sure, eh? He's got that
Very
energy.
similar energy, man. Yeah, very similar. And I would love to see the two of them in a film. Um,
I
I
wonder
think
if,
I've.
yeah, I
You
think
go.
I've said everything too, but I wonder if a narcissist, a full on narcissist, watches this movie, I wonder what he would think of Marty. Would he be like, what? You're just trying to become popular? Or would he be like, yeah, that guy's a piece of shit too?
Probably, because they would want to try and deflect from themselves, right? Instead of defending a narcissist, they would say, "That's a narcissist, not me."
Even though it's, yeah, true, eh? He'd be looking, everything is exactly how he
Yeah,
is, but he's like, oh, that's not me. I wouldn't do that, you know?
that's a riddle. Would a narcissist recognize a narcissist, and if so, do they identify themselves as a narcissist? I'm pretty sure they don't.
Or,
But
yeah, a
if they do,
narcissist.
they'll do everything. They'll lie their way through it, man, so damn easily. Easy manipulators, man. Con artists, really. And he is somewhat of a con artist in this, man. He just does it in a very lucid way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think we should go to ratings, yeah?
Ratings. Yeah, I'll start first as usual.
Yep.
Yeah, I was throughout the movie. I'm like, I would have gone 9 out of 10, but then I watched the whole movie. Blah blah blah. I thought about it for a while. I'll give it 8 out of 10.
Cool. I will give it a 7.5. And I know that probably sounds unreasonable given how much praise I've given the film. Bottom line is, as much as I enjoyed this film, as much as a great drama and great performances all year round, it's not a film that I would be willing to watch again, given the film that when I felt like it. You know what I mean? And that's not a disservice to the film. That's the kind of film it is. It's a drama biopic. It's not your entertainment blockbuster. So that's what I go for mainly. I want to go for a film that I will just feel like watching at any given time. This is not one of those films. That's not a negative. You know what I mean? This is a film to inspire a certain demographic, which is filmmakers and actors alike. It is a drama piece that could have easily worked as a stage production, really, for anybody who's wanting to look for what is the new modern gen Timothy Chalamet, because he will be a superstar if he keeps on the right track. If he not already is,
Hmm.
um, he will be a masterclass. He probably will get an Oscar nomination for this. Whether he will win it or not, I don't know. It's still early days. See what else comes out through the year. Yeah, so that's why I'm going to knock it back to 7.5.
Yeah,
Only
and
because, again, yeah, you go.
yeah, I probably wouldn't watch this again either, but I almost would. If it was a bit more for me, if it was a bit more cathartic in the end, like it was in Uncut Gems, I watched that twice. If it was a bit more cathartic, I would watch it again. But how I know it ends, and it's like kind of flat in the end, I probably won't watch it again. But there are definitely scenes in this movie that I'd want to like rewatch just because of how cool it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, cinematography. I don't know what it's called, but it's just the way it's shot and everything. Just everything together is really well done.
The mise en scène and aesthetic look of it, as
Is
they
all
say.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, as they say in the
Cool.
industry.
So yeah, that's our review of Marty McFly. I mean Marty Supreme. All right. So yep, that's the end of our video.
Yep.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next episode, everybody. Bye.
Bye.